So this project is for me. Um, I've been running. I've run now 4 of these mob programming sessions, and there's just a lot of sort of details that I have to track. So I'm trying to reduce that manual work by creating an application to let me to offload that manual work. So it's all doing we're doing it all test driven, of course, and Java, Spring, all the usual suspects, and also with sort of an MVP in mind. In other words, I want to get something up and running and deployed that I can start using as soon as possible, even if it doesn't do everything. So there's lots of things that it could do. So I've got a whole bunch of thoughts here. But basically, the things I really need are just the ability to have people self-register, so I don't have to constantly poke at people. Hey, are you coming? Hey, are you registered? As well as being able to then manage that. So that's what we're working on. Where things are is a good question. So let's run all our tests, because that's what we should do. And by the way, you can follow along. Let me start FluBits, so that way you can. Let's open up that window. Where is FluBits? There it is. Let's go connect. So the source code for this is open source. You can, not project-y, project. So that's the GitHub source repo for this project. It's Apache licensed. And if you want to follow along the code while I'm working on it without having to wait for me to push something to GitHub, you can use FluBits. Did all the tests pass? Yes, all the tests passed. There aren't a lot of tests. Still got a ways to go. But let's take a look and see where we are. I think the last thing we were working on was creating, scheduling a new huddle. So probably want to start creating like a ubiquitous, no, I don't want to open that file. Let's create a new file, ubiquitous language. So we've got huddle. This is the actual event. This is the mob programming event itself to replace session, which is overloaded term. What else? I'm using huddle, schedule. So this is a verb. This is a noun, not nouned. So, whoops. Hey, Kenny. Cuddling time. Yes, let's cuddle our projects. How's it going, Kenny? What are you doing here? Not doing music. Not today. Well, I did get my new MIDI foot controllers, which I will possibly try out later, if not tomorrow. All right, so that's created. Let's go back to where the heck are we? Where the heck are we? Right. scheduling a new session. I brought over some code from other project for date formatting. We got on our dashboard. I didn't originally intend this. It turned out that I sort of put this here, not thinking that this is where it would go. So let's run the application to see what the page looks like. So run, and we'll run the application. You're welcome to stay, Kenny. All right, so let's go. Right, I keep forgetting. I should create a home page. How about let's do that? I keep forgetting to do that, so let's go do that. Let's go grab. I'm gonna go grab the one from Blackjack, my Blackjack game, because it's a very simple home page. So let's, yeah, that'll do. And that goes into static. And then we'll just rename some things. So this is MobOrg. Yeah, I won't use the coloring that I use on my Blackjack game. That would suck. And we'll just use a link to get to the dashboard. Dashboard. Really, really simple page. That way I have something. MobOrg? No, org. Man, am I typing today? All right, let's recompile that. Really? Did you lose this again? Let's rebuild. There we go. There we go. All right, so now I'll click here. There we go. Okay, so we got our dashboard. There are no events, no scheduled huddles. Why are there no outlines? Oh, right, because I'm using Tailwind, which basically completely removes all of the CSS. Let's see. Do I want to do that? Let's do that. I don't want to get too tied up into formatting just yet. Let's temporarily turn that off and see what happens. Okay, so at least this stuff is easier to see. So name, still haven't figured out what the name is. Because lately it's just been an ordinal number of which session I am running. So I guess this is technically number 5. And then the date, let's see, this week is going to be April 30th. So 04/30/2021, not 2020 anymore. And that's 9 a.m. Right. So, oh, that's right. Okay. So now, do I want the zone, date, time versus local date time with zone? I feel like 90% of this project will just be trying to figure out time zones. So zone date time is what I'm currently thinking I'm using. It holds the local date time and a zone ID. So that is one I want to use. Okay, so that means I need to convert the browser date time, combine those into a zoned date time, which also needs to be in the future. Okay, so we can go ahead and stop the application because that's about all we've got. Let's go now to so this is this test that if there's a single scheduled huddle. Right, so now I need to actually schedule it. So we've got the service that does the right thing. Now we need the front end dashboard controller to do it. So right. So this is where we left off. I need to leave better notes about where I leave off next time. And oh hey, look, it's got almost the right time. So that's 09:00 AM. That's what I wanted to check. I wanted to check what actually gets returned when we do a post from that form. So the dashboard HTML submits to, so this should be a th action at that, and an action equals that. So it's going to post to schedule. And schedule. Right, so actually I need to see what does the browser display? So schedule huddle form. That's the date. And then we want the time. And so in the form, we got just name, date, time, so that matches. And yeah, all right. So let's run this and see what the browser does. That's always fun. So let's go back here. We'll go back here. Mob number 5, which is on April 30th, 2021 at 9 a.m. And so what did that actually... That's interesting. I forget, did I know that it was going to return it in 24-hour time format? So what I need to do is I need to convert from, okay, so now that I know what input I'm getting, I can now write some tests for the conversion. So that's going to be in the date time formatting stuff. So that's the browser, and I guess I did have a to-do of what I needed to do next. Oh, Ted. Okay, so time format for browsers, for the browser's input type equals time tag is hour, minute, in 24-hour format. That's type equals date. So we need a public static final oh, what am I doing? This needs to be one string, because I want the date time formatter. Right, okay. So that we don't need a separate, whoa, what happened? Oh, that was weird. Come back here. So our date time formatter, so our pattern, what pattern am I going to use? It's uppercase HH, lowercase mm. Okay, so that's HHMM. Right, right. So from browser date and time, raw date, raw time. We'll use this formatter. And the time zone. I don't want what. Let's see. So I want a zone date time from. Can I do from? Local date. Do I want? Oh. I want something that returns a zone date time. That returns a zone date time, but that's not quite what I want. Oh, I want of instance. Instant, that's what I want. Okay, so of instant, and this is local date time of this. Okay, and then so the instant that I want is the local date time with a zone offset. How do I figure this out again? This is the kind of stuff you do like once every project, and then you completely forget about it. So I want keep going back and forth whether I want to store this as a zone date time or as an offset date time. So I need a zone offset. this is what? America, Los Angeles. And then zone ID, or is that zone ID? Oh, that's the zone ID. It's not the zone offset. So then I'm confused why it needs, time stuff. Without the zone offset. I don't need the zone offset. What's the problem here? This is the one I'm trying to call. Local date time. That's what I've got. I've got a local date time. Oh, because it's not of instant, it's just of. And that is because I want to return that. Okay. Holy cow. Time zones, right? So raw date plus raw time. Okay. So probably should have written a test first, but let's write a test now. So we're going to test that browser formatted date and time are converted to zone date time. So raw date is 2021 0430. Raw time is 0900. And then we're calling date time formatting format from browser date and time. Raw date, raw time. And we want to assert that that zone date time is on, is equal, ignoring, I don't think we should, I think it's just is equal to zone date time of 2021 0430. Hour is 09 minutes 0 seconds 0, no nanos, and the zone ID should be America, Los Angeles. I think that's right. Oh, that's interesting. It got confused about where the closing parenthesis went. So the question is that the right zone ID? I think it's America, Los Angeles. Unless it's a San Francisco alias. Yeah, America, Los Angeles. All right, so let's run this test. Invalid format. Now, why is that an invalid format? Oh, it needs the underscore. Okay. Which means this one's going to be wrong too. So let's do that. Hey, look at that. My test passed. So the question is how is that going to be formatted? So what does that look like? I mean, that looks right. It's got the 9 with the offset of -7. And if I did this in November, when we have daylight savings time, this will fail, but at least I'll see what it prints out. And so it does print out -8, so that's correct. All right, so that's actually what I want. All right, so let's go back to the dashboard controller. So it takes this information, and I don't need to print this out anymore. And now here, the date time can now be converted via the date time formatting from browser date and time. I feel like the schedule huddle form should do this work. Well, let's put it here and then we'll push it into that. So this is going to take the schedule huddle form, get date, and schedule huddle form, get time. And then the other thing we want to do is when we display this stuff, it would be nice if it showed it in a slightly friendlier format, but actually for now this will be fine. So let's go run this. Close that and refresh this. So mob number 5, 04/30/2021, 09:0 AM, schedule, and there we go. That's what we want. I mean, not in terms of the display, but that's the output we want. Cool. All right. So let's do a commit. What issue did you find? Did you something about the private constructor? Yes, thank you very much. I don't know, that's fine. You can go away. We'll commit anyway. All right, so let's clean up the let's clean up the output. I'd like a nicer display for the date-time formatter. So we want to format as date-time. This is going to take a zoned date-time. zone date time. And so the pattern is going to be month, day, year, hour, minute, minute. I don't want it in... That's weird. In this code, I had a static final for the date time formatter for converting, for parsing it, but I didn't have one for... Why am I don't know. All right. Do I want AM PM? I think I want AM PM. And I always forget how to do that. AM PM, AM PM. It's just A? A or so AA? Like that. So the format is date time. We want to be called from the dash, who does the summary view, does the conversion of the name. It's just doing a toString, so we're going to fix that with date time formatting, format as date time from that, and that should do it. So let's run it. I mean, I could write a test for this, but it's so easily visually inspected that I'm fine not writing a test for it. Other than it's annoying to have to type in some data to get it to show up. Woo! Too many pattern letters. I guess I should have written a test. Let's go write a test. Date formatted, date time formatted as MDY date as month, day, year, 12-hour time. So we'll grab this, and so our zone date time is that, and then we'll assert that when we convert it with using the date time date format as date, that we expect that to be equal, oops, to 04/30/2021 09:00 AM, like that. That will, we already know, cause yeah, it is a single A, and that's why I'm writing a test, because I know that's what it should be. I don't want to run the application. I want to run the test. Thanks, Kishu, or Kishu. Yeah, I was thinking it was like, oh, it's like the M's and the D's, like you have as many as you need space for, but clearly not. I misread the documentation. Let's run these tests. So I expect this to fail because of that. Let's go fix that. It should just be 1A. That was not expected. Oh, I forgot to change the other test back after I broke it. There we go. Okay. Corrected. Added date time formatting for dashboard display. Yes, thank you. All right. So now we know that formats it correctly. I don't... Wait, did that get pushed? No. Oh, I hit enter and not space, and so it basically canceled. The Mac still confuses me in terms of what button is going to be clicked when I hit space versus what button is going to be clicked when I hit enter. And dang it. And then when I hit one of the shortcut keys, if it goes into here, then it's treated as a pi symbol, which is not at all what I want. Kishu says, love to see set up Spring app with tests. Yes, I am very much a test driven. Even when doing Spring, that's how I teach stuff. That's how I do it. We haven't gotten into too much depth around the Spring specific tests. And I tend not to use a lot of Mockito, unlike I think most folks. But I'm glad you're a test fan. All right, so what's next in terms of features? We've got the ability to create... let's try creating a couple of... Oh, sorry, schedule a couple of huddles. I'm trying to use the correct language, so let's go here. So mob number 5 is on April 30th, 2021. I should probably pre-fill that at some point. And then also this should get focus. Look at that, beautiful. And then mob number 6 is 05/01/2021 at 10 a.m. Excellent. All right, so that's working well, which is not surprising because I have tests for that. Let's see what's next on our list. So we've got schedule a new huddle, that's done. See huddles and how many registrations. Technically that's done. For the existing huddles, oh, now I need a link from the huddle list to the huddle detail view, of course. I don't know that I want to do that just yet. Oh, no, actually I need to do that because now I need to start fleshing out the domain a bit more. So let's go do that. So let's go to the so in our domain we've got a huddle. We should probably add an identifier. Oh, and my question was answered. No. So when we create, when do I want to? I don't want to get into identifiers too much. So I'm going to create a huddle ID. Should I use records? Well, this is my domain, so that's fine. Let's use records. And this takes a long for the ID. Not sure how I feel about using records in this way. I mean, it saves me a tiny bit of typing. But I do have to put this creation method just to make it a little bit more convenient. Yeah, I think it's okay. All right, so let's go back to our huddle. IntelliJ strikes again by putting the file in the wrong place. No, I do not want it in... There we go. And I'll need a getter and setter for that. The only place you will find getters and setters in my domains are for identifiers. Now, when I instantiate it, that's fine. Currently, the repository will be responsible for assigning the ID, because that'll be similar to how the Spring Data version will work. So let's go ahead. In the back of my head is should I be using UUIDs here? I really dislike UUIDs. They're too long, and when you try to make them shorter, then there's other issues. So let's not do that. Oh, but we are going to have to do a find by ID. And so the question is, do I need to write a test for this? Cafe Sparrow, what are you doing here? Welcome, but yeah, coding, not cuddling, as Kenny from Kenny's Prog Rock Jukebox misread. Well, hi. Sorry, no music today. Or actually, not sorry, because if there were, that would be worse. Maybe. Everybody, if you're not following Cafe Sparrow, go follow Cafe Sparrow. So do I want to assign an ID and write tests for that, or do I feel confident that this is really straightforward? Yes, torture stream, yeah. My coding streams are a different kind of torture. But yes, my music streams are definitely torture. Although more in the you asked for it torture, because people kept asking me. What did I do in Tawny? So for that, in my in-memory, yeah, I'm just gonna copy and paste. I guess I should switch it to a map. Heck, the whole thing's going to be the same. Why torture yourself? All right, so this is going to have to convert from a list to a map. All right, let's just do it. I really should be writing tests for this, but this is such a such boilerplate code that I don't really feel the need to do that. So our ID is going to be a huddle ID, and that's going to be a new hash map. That's our sequence. Save. This just becomes a put. That, except instead of portfolio, oh, I could have just done this. Let's just do this. So that's huddle, and that's huddle ID of, and then we put a key, which is the huddle ID, to that. Okay, and then this is huddle's values. So all my tests should continue to run and pass, unless I've broken something. Oh, I broke something. What did I break? Now, how did that break? Oh, so I wonder if schedule a huddle is now problematic. Wait, what is this test doing? Oh, that's my bad. That was bad input. Okay. I wasn't running all the tests before. That's why. I'm like, why didn't I see that fail before? Okay, so now, now this one is failing because I wasn't running all the tests. Bad me. And so for this test, we can't just post to schedule without having basically a mock. And so here's one of the few places I'll use a mock. Not the mock MVC, but a mock for, what is it going to be? For the huddle service. Why are you still doing that? Oh, because it's still calling it. And it's not the huddle service that's the problem. Oh, I mocked the wrong thing. Yeah, I think it's actually done just the... So WebMVC test. Is that the right thing to do? I don't want it to execute any of the content. I just want to see that I configured it correctly. That still might be fine. Yeah, it's still got to return the template, so I can't completely do that. So if I want to do schedule, I'm going to have to post valid information. which is a little bit annoying, but that's fine. So that's going to be, it's not a, is it a request attribute? No, it's a form attribute. Or it's just params. So for that param, and that. So the params I need are the date, the name, test, date, 04/30/2021, and then one more param for time 0900. All right, so that should fix that test. Really? You couldn't parse that? Why? What am I missing? Why couldn't you parse that? Oh, because I had the date format wrong. Year comes first. Oi, oi, oi. All right, finally. Just thinking, like, this whole web configuration test doesn't really care what it does with the data. And so it's sort of a shame that I have to populate it and basically simulate a correct form submission for that. But I'll do that for now. Fix broken tests. All right, we're back to all tests passing. What the heck was I doing before I did that? We're now storing, oh yeah, we're storing IDs, so that, so we should be able to, in the service, so currently this one's fake, so let's go make this realistic now. So huddle should now have an ID, and we should actually get the detail view for that ID. But for this level of test, I don't need to look at the return information in too much detail. Because basically this getting the detail view, which is a string-based representation of the domain object, that's the responsibility of my huddle service. Question is, what information do I get here? So this is a get mapping. The ID will be the ID must be a parameter, and it'll be a URL parameter. So what I want is let's start here. So this is where these tests get a little tricky. I don't want to test for a 404. I want 0 to actually be a valid thing. So I might mock the service here to always return something for that. But that means I have to have the service know how to do that. So let's start the service test. So that would be a service find test. So what do I want here for the find test? I mean, the service for the find at least is fairly pass-through. It's pretty much going to delegate to the repository. It's not going to do much else. How much do I want to do on that? Let's see, so there's going to be a find by ID, so that means it will have to return an optional. So it'll be an empty optional, okay. So we'll create a huddle service with a new in-memory one of those. And then we assert that, no. Do I not have my shortcut for that? Darn it. Okay. So huddle service, assert that the huddle service find by ID. And this takes a huddle ID of that. I don't know what I expect that to do. Okay, so let's fix that. Oh, hey, Ampery. How's it going? So create this. This returns an optional of huddle. And right now, we'll basically return null. Which will be fun. So we expect this to be empty. I love assert J. Because I can assert that an optional is empty. This will fail because it's actually going to return null. So let's run just our domain tests. And it did fail. So now let's get it to return optional empty. And that'll get it to pass. And then of course we'll need to write another test. Okay, so here we'll do pretty much the same thing. But here we're going to assert find by ID of 0. Is not empty is sufficient. So this will fail because we haven't added anything. So let's go pull this repository out. Test and zone date time now. Okay. This should still fail because even though we put one in there, technically we actually should save this one. And then the huddle find by ID should be the saved huddles ID. This will fail because we're not finding anything in our huddle service. So it'll return an empty. Okay, so fails as expected. We'll go here. And now we basically just delegate to our repository. Oh, we don't have a find by ID method there. Let's go create one. Now, should the service take a huddle ID? Or should it be a long? This is where I'm still a little fuzzy on what the strict border for domain objects are, especially for IDs. Service, it's a domain service, so it should speak in the language of the domain. But somehow, I don't know, it doesn't quite feel right. So let's go create this method. Returns an optional. Let's go implement it. So now this will fail. We're testing indirectly, but that's kind of okay. That's fine. And so now it can basically return optional of nullable. Why am I writing this from scratch? I've written this before. Pretty sure that's what it is. Yeah, of nullable get. Yeah. Hey Bob 26900. So huddles get huddle ID. That should work. Ta-da. Okay. Let's do a commit. Can now find huddles by their ID. Let's not push until I run all the tests, because I may have broken something on the integration tests. Nope, I didn't. Yay me. All right, so what am I missing? So I propagated up, finding these huddles by their ID. Now in the dashboard controller, that's where I need to change it so that huddle takes a parameter. But let's start one level lower. Let's start in the dashboard controller test. So here, this is the dashboard view. This is schedule. We want the detail view. Yeah, we want the huddle detail view. All right. Feels like it should go perhaps in a separate test class, but we'll leave it here. View. Okay, so detail view of an existing huddle is returned. We'll go create the repository. We'll wrap the service and inject that. Create the controller. And in here, we'll grab, no, not from there. We'll grab from here that. So now when we call huddle detail view, we're going to need an extra parameter besides model. I don't care what that returns, and then I'll inspect the model. Hey there, love me senpai 101. Welcome. Yes, you are seeing Java and Spring, and we're as much as possible doing test-driven development on this. So welcome. So we'll need a model equals new concurrent model. And what we want to assert on that, whoops, assert, actually we want to assert equals. So we want to assert that the model contains an attribute for, I forget the name of the thing that it contains. What am I expecting on the page? Huddle detail. It's just called huddle. I expect. All right, I have to do the other thing. All right, so we'll do this. That's the wrong kind of test. That's not what I want. So from the model, we're going to get an attribute, the huddle, and that will be of type huddle detail view. I'll have to cast it. And so then on the huddle, we'll assert that the huddle name. I jumped to the wrong file somehow. So we're going to assert that the name on that is test. Now this is not at all going to work. Good enough, but it should fail because the wrong name is going to be in there because I have hard-coded stuff in there. Excellent. Fails as expected. So now, though, we're going to have the method take the URL parameter. I always get confused because Spring names things slightly differently than what they are called in sort of RFCs and other things, so I sometimes get confused about the names. So what we want to do is we want to not only get the model, but the ID. The ID will be a long. So we'll do, be explicit about it, an uppercase long. Yeah, let's do that. So long 0 of value of 0. Now it doesn't like this. Oh, I don't need to box it here. Yeah. I do need to add it as a parameter though. So let's go here. But you see, it unboxed it, but then got rid of it. We want huddle ID. And we want this to be huddle ID. And then we have path variable. See, that name just never makes any sense to me. Like, I get it, it's part of the path. Whatever. And that's huddle ID. Whoops. All right, so this will still fail just because I added the parameter. I'm still hard coding the return value. And now I've got 2 failures. Right. I expected the web one to fail because now it's totally off. Because I'm not passing a parameter, but that's fine. I'm not testing at that level just yet. So this one is failing as expected. So now what we want to do is call the service, find by ID, huddle ID, oops, huddle, not hiddle, huddle ID of huddle ID, and then that now I don't currently have any tests that's asking for if it's not found. What do I want to do if it's not found? It should just return a 404, so I'll need to write a test for that. Let me not forget to write a test for that. I'll write a placeholder test. Detail view of non-existent huddle returns 404 not found. All right, I'll leave that. I was tempted to put a fail in there, but I already have enough enough tests failing. So let's go back to our controller. I'm gonna cheat and just do a get, which will of course explode if it can't find it. And huddle detail view, we can now get rid of this huddle detail view. Oh, I don't have a conversion. I don't have a translator of domain to view here. I guess I'll just do it manually. So what does it take? It takes the name, so we'll get that from the huddle. Huddle start date time. I'll clean that up when I get to it. Duration, topic, and size. So I'm cheating on those. Oh, I may as well just do it the right way here. I have the code here, so that's that. There we go. All right, so this should now pass for the dashboard controller test. And it does. So that's good. That's fine. I want to actually get rid of this. Let's just suppress it all over. So what is that? Constant conditions? Yeah, that's fine. All right, so that test passes, which means we can retrieve the detail view of a huddle by its ID. So now if we run all the tests, we'll still have the outermost at WebMVC test failing because it's not using a parameter, it's not using a path variable. And so it's probably getting, yeah, 404. All right, so let's fix that one. So that's in our web configuration test. Now this will still fail with a 404. No, actually this will fail with the null pointer exception, because we're not checking to see if it was found in the repository or not. Let's see if we're right. This is predictive TDD. Well, that's interesting. It passed. That was not expected. How could that have passed? Hey there, I am Chets. That's interesting. Because the find by ID would do a find. What do I return if it's not found? I just hand it off to there, and it returns of nullable. But why Why didn't I get a null pointer exception? Because of nullable says if we find something, then that's inside the optional. If not, then the optional is empty. And then the get should have been empty. Right. Oh, okay. So it wouldn't have been null pointer. It would have been, I would have expected a no such element exception. Did one really get thrown and it just didn't appear? Oh, hey, Lusket. Thank you for the hydrate. Now I'm suspicious. Well, let's write this other test because I'm suspicious of that. So we'll go ahead and just create an empty one. I mean, unless, no, that's fine. And then we're going to do something similar to this. And we're going to assert that the model contains actually, we won't even get that far if everything I assume is true. So I have to fix that postfix. No such element exception. So according to what we've seen, this should pass. Am I doing, no. So this passes because this is throwing an exception. Let's pull this out and just make sure, because I don't, so now this fails with a no, okay, so this is working the way I think it should work. So why did this test this is the huddle detail endpoint. Why is this one working? Is it an order of tests? Yes, it's an order of tests. Damn it. Because what's happening is this one is running first. So do I want to mock? Do I want to mock the in-memory repository? Is that mockable? No, that's in the domain. I can't mock that. Can't mock the service either. Or can I? I can mock the huddle service because that becomes a bean. So what happens if I do that? Or do I just want to do a dirties context? Actually, what do I, if I get this test to fail, that's actually a problem because I don't want it to fail because I just want this to test whether I've configured it correctly. So ugh. These are such a pain. Well, let's say I mock the huddle service. What happens? So it should still fail with an, yeah, so it's still fail that way. This is 0L. Then I want optional of you asking me to import optional? Oh dear lord, why would, what the heck? That's interesting. Okay. So there was another optional coming from the test containers stuff. Really what I need is a dummy huddle, because I don't care about its contents, but it's just a name and a zone date time, so that's fine. So let's make this one and this one. Actually, let's make it that. So this tells us that it will return this one when we ask for that one, when we ask for 13. That should do the right thing. It does. Let's just make sure if I change this, this should fail with a no such element exception. And it does. Okay, good. All right. So for me, this is one of the few places I'll use Mockito and its mock stuff. It's a little dangerous because I'm relying on a lie, and the lie is that what it does with this 13 is always going to be transformed into a find by ID. So I am assuming I'm nailing down behavior that this endpoint method in the controller is gonna call huddle service find by ID. If it does its job by any other mechanism, I will have to change this test. Which isn't great, because at this level I don't actually care what it does. I just want to make sure that I've configured it so it understands that the huddle endpoint exists and takes a path parameter of a number. But for now, this is the best I can do. All right, so let's run all the tests, make sure I haven't broken anything else. And they all pass, so let's do a commit. Added huddle ID as path variable to huddle detail view. All right. So we fixed the flakiness. So now we're sure that this test is doing the right thing. What is the next? And are we happy with the test at the next level in, which is a dashboard controller test? This one fails as expected. So we got it succeeds. We've got it failing. Then at the controller level, we want to. Oh, well, actually, what we'd like it to do is not actually throw a no such element exception. That's what we want to fix. What we'd like it to do is return a 404. That, however, that at this level, do I throw an exception and have an advice thingy? Or do I be very explicit about it? If I return a response entity, then I can control that and I can test that directly. That's what I want to do. All right, so yeah, so I want to write a test. We're no longer going to return string. We're going to return, what are we going to return? I could return response entity, or I could, can I return a redirect? Is that good enough? I mean, I don't actually want to redirect. So what am I doing? Sorry, I had redirected my head for some reason. Is response entity string sufficient? Well, let's try it. So let's so we'll say response entity but that is that what I use here though on the web MVC? I've been doing so much with the APIs, I'm like always getting confused. Because I'm returning a view. That's what I want. That's what I was thinking of, and I for some reason wrote the redirect. So that's what I want. But will that allow me to return an error? I don't think that's what I want. So the question is, whoops. Yeah, that's not what I want either. Do I have to do the exception mechanism? Wow, I have forgotten how to do this. So I know I can do it with an exception, but is there no other way to do it? I mean, should I just do it that way? Is that, am I looking for something that doesn't exist? So I can throw an exception and then have an exception handle that basically translates that exception into a response entity. I thought there was a better way. I mean, it's still an exception, but at least I don't have to create my own handler for it. Okay, so let's try that. Learn something new every day. So we'll still return a string. Do we have a test? We haven't finished. We haven't created a failing test. Let's go create the failing test. So what we want to do is in this failing test, we don't want it to fail in this way anymore. We actually want it to detect a response status exception. Yeah, that's good enough. I can poke around in it if I want to, but okay. So now we're asserting that when we try to get a view detail page on an item that does not exist, that's the exception we want. And then if we want, we can examine the contents of it. Which would be extracting what is it? Status? And that's equal to HTTP status, not found. Okay. So what we're doing is we're saying that it's this exception, and if we extract out get status, it should be that. It will not be this yet. That's how it will fail right now. So let's switch back to running these tests. Correct. So it fails in that way. So what we want to say is get or else throw. And what we want to throw is a, what the heck was it? Response status exception. Except we can't do that because the constructor requires. So we'll have to do good old-fashioned throw new response status exception. That takes HTTP status not HTTP status, not I think that's right. Let's see. Well, what do you know? That worked. Now, a little ugly. This will refactor and move this into the huddle detail view thing. Let's do that now. So this is going to be from yes, I got it. Thank you. Then we'll make the yes, thank you. So we're going to make this static. And then we'll move this over to the huddle detail view. And we'll just actually return that. So that shouldn't have broken anything. Nothing should have changed. Let's now run all the tests. I don't think I've broken anything, but we'll see. All right, so that all works. Now I can provide links from the dashboard. I can provide a link directly to the detail on one of those. Let's actually do a commit. So return for not found for a huddle detail view, or huddle from huddle detail view when the huddle ID is not found. Okay. So let's go to our dashboard template. We are currently looping through all the huddles. For each one, we're just displaying the text. But what we'd like is, and I know I'm using a table. It's a table. It is a table. Not using table because it's something else, but it's a table. So what we want to do instead is do a span and now this is going to be an ahref actually. But it's going to be a href to what the heck did I call it? Huddle? Yeah, huddle. And what goes here is my expression, which is huddle.id. So now in the view, I need to add huddle ID. And the href needs to have an @ around the whole thing. Okay. So in our huddle view, huddle detail view, we now need an ID. So we'll stick in string ID, and this gets huddle ID. ID. Yeah, let's store it as a long. Why not? Okay, so we've now added the huddle detail view to have an ID. That ID will become part of the URL that will be selectable. All right, so now this, I could write a test for this, but it would be really super annoying, and I'd have to write basically an HTML test to see if it generates the right HTML. Let's just run the application. All right, so now localhost. So our dashboard's empty. That's fine. We'll add that one. 04/30/2021. 90 AM. Wah, wah. Oh, I didn't add ID to the huddle summary view, which is where it should have gone. Actually, it should be both. So we'll add long ID. Huddle get ID. ID. All right. Let's rerun. Just trying to think if writing a test would have been worth it. I mean, this is something that doesn't change. I just wish there was a. I mean, I guess I could have written. Could I have written a controller test? No, because this is a template. Could I have written a web MVC test? Yeah. That just sees if the page works. That might be worth it. I don't necessarily have to check to see the specific content, but that it just doesn't fail completely like it just did. That might be useful. All right, so let's try the dashboard again. And look at that, we've got a link. Does it take us to the right place? It does. If we click on it, what happens? We see it. Look at that. All right, so that is all working. So we can create, we can schedule huddles. We can see multiple of them. I don't have a good way of going back to the home page. That's fine. It wants me to switch tabs. I can go and create a new one. And 05/01/2021, 10 a.m. Now we've got two. This one's at 10 a.m. The dates and times are correct. Dates and times are correct. Now, of course, it doesn't persist it. That is a problem. I mean, it's not an unexpected problem. But I am actually getting on the hungry side It's getting close to dinner time for me. So, what do I want? Is there anything I can implement? I don't know if I'm going to go for another 30 minutes. So let's see. So what have I done? I've added, so the dashboard page now shows all of the huddles that were scheduled. We can look at the detail view of each one. They're identified by their identifier. Probably need to write some more tests for the repository, but it's really straightforward. We can find all, we can find one by its ID. I don't want to persist it into the database just yet because I'm not sure how exactly I want to associate participants, which are the people who would attend these events. So I have a bit more to work out in the domain. What else? Well, let's go check out our project. So that's done. So we can see existing huddles. Duration, that's just information I need to add into the huddle. Name versus topic is something I'm still trying to figure out. But this is done. I need to see participant details, so that's not done yet. Oh yeah, goals. I don't like the way IntelliJ is formatting this stuff, but whatever. So this is done. Well, actually no, that's not done. This is done. I don't have any of that stuff. This is basically done. What else do I want on my dashboard? I think right now, I don't think I need anything else. I can schedule a new one. Do I need to edit one? I mean, there'll be some stuff that'll be nice to have, like sort of postpone or something like that. Oh, I just realized I'm gonna need for the participants to be, I'm gonna need to be able to see for a participant which, if any, mob huddles have they attended. That'll be interesting. But I think in terms of scheduling from my end, that's all I need. And so now what I need is to display the potential participants' point of view. Which is going to require me to have some identity per person. So not user, maybe user, because that's what everybody uses. But I'll need to have authentication. And so with authentication, I'll have, I guess, a user. And if they participate in a mob, they become a participant. And so then I can see for a user what have they participated in. So let me create another document, which will be just to do next. So the next thing I need to do is participants. Do I want to do register participant first? What would they see as soon as they log in? As soon as they log in, they'll see available sessions. So and register as new. And the language around participant and user I need to clarify. I just hate the word user, but I guess that's what everybody uses, so no pun intended. So some sub scenarios on that is can't already be registered for that huddle. Currently, although this is nice to have, I don't want them to register for more than one huddle per week. Although that's also going to be kind of temporary, so never mind. What else? So what would prevent them from registering? So I can't register for a huddle they've already registered with. They can't. I mean, there's sort of the onboarding process. But do I want that onboarding process to happen when they register? So we'll need to onboard GitHub instructions for installing MobSH, etc. So we'll assume that they've done all of that. So this is only show future huddles. So on my dashboard, I want to be able to see all huddles, but for a registration standpoint, should only be able to show future ones. Hey, Koros. Oh, you mean besides user, could it be developer? Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out what the language is. So participant is somebody who belongs to, who has participated or will participate in a huddle. I mean, I'm not terribly opposed to user. It's fine. It represents somebody who I know who they are. I mean, I could call them developer. There's also a part of me though that's like, I'm going to be integrating with some authentication ID, OpenID or OAuth kind of thing. And so calling them user is probably fine. In the huddle though, they are a participant. So let's put that into our language. user noun represents someone who has registered with the system, provided GitHub username, etc. So I guess I'm going to be authorizing. I'm going to be authenticating via GitHub because I need that information anyway. So there we go. Participant. Yeah, so there'll be a user or so. Yeah, I'm not sure how much I'm gonna. I mean, it might just be a one-to-one thing. I'll have a user which will be sort of just the core of sort of the information I get back from authenticating via GitHub. And things like name, email address, and whatever I get from GitHub. Everything else. No, actually, I need to know more. For a user, I'll need to know, obviously, name, name, email, stuff I already have in here under participant. So I got name, email, GitHub. If they have a Discord username, I do need to know if they're new to the group. And that's sort of a one-way flag. It's sort of a latch once they're no longer new, although it might be that maybe that gets changed or something like that. And so that's really about the user. So the question is what is the difference between user and participant? I don't know. I'm gonna have to play that by ear. I might do a little design walkthrough next time using some CRC cards or something like that. That might help. But I think I might have, even though I usually don't do sort of things that I know a lot about, like how am I going to do the authentication. I haven't done GitHub in a while, but I know how that's going to go. And I usually want to explore things I know less about in terms of how the system's going to work. But I think that might inform, at least the information I get from GitHub will inform the rest of this. And do I need something separate per, like, so do I need user and participant to be two separate things, or are they just participant? I don't know. I don't know yet. That'll be a good question. Like, is there anything that would be specific to the mob programming session that they're involved in? I can't think of anything. So we'll see. Yeah, so my language on ubiquitous, my language on user versus participant is open to question. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't want to think about that anymore because my brain hurts and I'm hungry. Kuros, yeah, especially when roles. Yeah, roles. I don't think. I mean, it may get to some point where I've got users in the system. Am I a user? I guess I'm a user. Right? I'm the convener, for lack of a better word. Am I a user in the system? I guess so. I hadn't thought about that. I guess I'm a user and there is a role, but there are only two. The manager, me, but could I delegate some of that, and could a user be both I mean, I guess by definition I'm a participant, but I don't need to manage myself. I'm only needing to manage people who attend. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of questions. Yeah, so user is the thing that will be authenticated through GitHub. In terms of authorization, I think initially it'll be just straightforward. It'll be either administrator, which is me, or participant. And so I guess that's a role. See, I'm hungry. I'm typing that kind of role. So yeah. Yeah, definitely don't want to be copying information. It will certainly be some relationship. Yeah, I just don't know. I'm fairly confident that I can always refactor my way and fix any problems, but not running into them in the first place if I can avoid it. So I might do sort of some lightweight CRC card running through some scenarios to see if that works. But yeah, appreciate the thoughts, because this is what makes some of these systems complex is this stuff. And I'm really trying not to make it too complex, because I'm not trying to build anything too sophisticated. But I will need GitHub-based authentication. Yeah, I mean, eventually this is gonna, and I'm really trying to keep it simple, because I need something that works. I probably will not get it done for this week's mob, but for next week's, for my future mobs, I want to have this be usable. So, like, I don't even need, like, I'm only going to promote this to people who I already know, so I technically don't even need much in the way of authentication. But I'm still going to need some representation of them in the system. Whether I authenticate through GitHub or whether I authenticate because I've given them a special URL. I don't think that actually simplifies anything, unfortunately. There's still going to have to be something in the system. They're going to have some way of knowing who they are. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're in good shape for next time. And I hope to be streaming most days this week. Because I'm not teaching and I've got time. So that's it for today. Let me push the last thing. What did we just do? Oh yeah, so we now can links now take us from summary view from dashboard to detail view. Go to let's detail view. Okay, cool. That is pushed, and that's it for today. Thanks, folks, for hanging out and giving me some good thoughts. All right, thanks everyone for hanging out. I appreciate it, and I will see you next time.